Welcome back. My next guest is Nestor Aparicio, doing great things on the airwaves and in our community always. Nestor, welcome in.
I'm getting ready for crab cakes. It's crab cake season for
Yeah.
me. It's hardy, right? The trees, leaves go down. It's autumn. We got football, good football, and I'm going to be doing the crab cake tour. So I'm out eating crab cakes, having fun, giving away Maryland lottery tickets and scratch offs, and getting into this the stadium lease thing. I think too, as we get toward the end of the year, there'll be a lot of stuff coming on that as things quiet down. But how are you doing? What's going on with you, man?
Hey,
Two football games? You going to both games or no?
absolutely. Went to the game against the Seahawks. Looking forward to attending the Browns and Bengals scrum. But one thing I've noticed, Nestor, is that the Ravens are getting a lot more national media love than local media. Local media, not that I listen to it, but I do have friends of mine who do, and they're like, Dennis, they're knocking Lamar again. They're this and that, and I'm like, guys, they're right now. I mean, they're arguably the best team in the NFL, and you got to give them accolades when they're due. And Lamar Jackson in particular, he's playing at an MVP level. The team is healthy. They're dominating teams, and look, at least for halfway through the season, there's a lot to be happy about.
Well, I mean, I've been writing that, right? I mean,
Yeah.
there's no secret to what's going on with Chad Steele and me, and why I'm not at games, and why I'm not in their locker room, and all that. But I am emceeing the American Cancer Society event on Thursday night, so I still have some street cred in some places, and I'll shave up nice. But um, there's there are naysayers. I mean, I go back to Kyle Bowler's injury and people cheering it, right?
Oh,
Like, I mean,
that was the worst thing I've ever seen at a sporting event to this day, and I'm glad you brought it up because it was a low point. Playing the Colts with Peyton Manning on national television, and you got 20,000 knuckleheads cheering the injury, which was really, really just a horrible look and the black eye for the city of Baltimore.
yeah, we were always like the classiest baseball fans, and I don't know where that shark got jumped with
Ah,
Jets fans or Eagles fans or but that was, I mean, we're almost 20 years ago, Dennis. That was 2006, 2007, right? I mean,
it was a
so
low point.
where we are now, and well, we have an African American quarterback and and a primarily Caucasian fan base too. So like I remember that with Tony Banks and Elvis Gerback and Trent Dilfer and taking phone calls and Jeff Blake and so. But Lamar, to me, nobody understands it. The rest of the league didn't understand it. No other team wanted in on him 10 months ago to change their whole program. The Ravens have been all in from the night DaCosta stayed in the room famously and said, we're not going down and meeting the media. We still might, we need to keep our eye on the board. And then they traded for him and went
Yeah.
down. From that moment forward, they've been pretty committed to the belief that they could build something around him. And this is Harbaugh's word, as a revolution, right? And I don't know that they weren't there in 19 when nobody else was prepared for it. And they were putting Willie Snead around him. And they had big fat. I mean, this is a young Gus Edwards who looked like Jerome Bettis. He built like Barry Word, built like Christian Okoye at that time, and Mark Ingram. And, I had Anthony Mitchell on this week, who I've known forever, and his boy Keaton's running the ball now. It and Anthony was like, he was always too small. He was always too small. He was always too small. And I'm thinking to myself, if he could play some level of that Mark Ingram role,
Mhm.
because they've been trying to find 19 from the beginning with more ideology to throw, right? Like where Roman came in as the running game coordinator. 19 was different because Marshall Yanda was there. 19 was different because Ronnie Stanley was healthy, a lottery pick on the field, earning his money. Mark Andrews wasn't as beaten up. Lamar and that offense, Lamar took abuse. Lamar had bumps and bruises and purple marks. He
Well,
was getting hit. He was hitting the ground. He was running around. They've managed to ideologically, in his mind, after paying him, say, look, you're paid. Don't run into linebackers, which is great advice. It's advice I would have given him day one, right?
right.
Take care of the Roger Dorn and all that. But keeping him healthy is clearly a priority. And I think when they look back at the draw play he ran when they were up 9 points 2 weeks ago, and I'm out tweeting, and Harbaugh reads my tweets and stuff because he sends them to me. When I say I wouldn't do that, I would think that when they go back and they do quality control, Lamar, you're not running the ball up the gut in the fourth quarter when we're ahead, ever.
Right.
You're
Ever
never
again.
running the ball when we're ahead. We have other guys to do that. So as we get into this, 7-2, what were they this time last year, Dennis? What were they the year before? They were good. They've been really good.
They were in first place in the division. Absolutely were.
Take the quarterback away from anyone. Any of these places that don't have a quarterback,
100%.
Take Joe Burrow's left calf away, quad away for 3-4 weeks and watch him go around and watch us beat their ass. So keeping Lamar healthy and keeping as many, and look, guys are going to get hurt. Somebody's going to break something. Somebody's not going to be able to play in Jacksonville, who's playing right now. And they're not waiting on a cavalry at this point, right? But they got old guys, man. They got guys in their 30s now, and we're getting into that. They're going to play 2 games in 4 days that are huge games, like games that in the fourth quarter on Thursday night, they're going to do everything they can do to win. Because these 2 games they win, they get to 9-2. Now, all of a sudden, they can start thinking about salting things a little bit and losing a game here and there and what's going to happen and being in better position than having to go out to San Francisco on Christmas night and claw, and then have Pittsburgh coming in here hungry and mad because they're 7-9 or whatever they're going to be at the time by they get here, and they can screw the Ravens and put them on the road because Cincinnati's 8-1 the rest of the way. I look at all the possibilities the way they do. The only possibility is Lamar's got to stay healthy, because anybody wants to complain about Lamar or complain about how they're – I'm a Lamar complainer. I'm a Lamar complainer when he's running in the linebackers and getting hurt. I'm a Lamar complainer when he's high or low on passes or making bad decisions or making bad reads. They gave Lamar all this money. They think he can win there, and he's winning. And if you're complaining about Lamar, I would put it on that you probably never liked Lamar to begin with.
I would agree with you. And I think in hindsight, retrospect, what not, the difference between this version of the Ravens and the 2019 team is that in 2019, as they were constructed, Nestor, they were having a hard time in games that they fell behind. Their offense was not constructed to score points quickly. So when they ran into Tennessee in the playoffs at home and they fell behind, they panicked. They went for it in 4th and 1 at midfield. They lost the field position game, and they got knocked out of the playoffs. The nice thing about this version of the Ravens is they do have a dynamic, explosive passing game with the pieces that they've added, and that they can score points quickly via the air. And also in the event they fall behind, they can certainly come back from a 2-3 touchdown deficit.
That's an interesting premise. And, I think you have some purple goggles about their 2-minute offense. Like, I think I need to really see that. And I think, Dennis, the only time you see it, the only time you're going to see it is if something goes wrong Sunday, right? I mean, if they're winning 27-13 with 9 minutes left to go in the fourth quarter, they'll give the ball to Gus Edwards. They'll try to take the air out of the ball. Lamar might even run, right? I mean, I wouldn't do that, but they're still their best play. Lamar running still their best play. And until proven otherwise, that and Andrews across the middle when he's not double teamed. Now, when he's double teamed, that's where what we talked about all summer really works. Zay Flowers, Bateman healthy, Odell Beckham healthy, Keaton Mitchell out of the backfield who can make people miss, like Duvernay on some run, like the things that they were trying to do in the offense. But I don't know, man, if they're losing 19-13 with 1 minute and 13 seconds left to go, and Lamar gets the ball at the 23-yard line, and they got to score 5 points, not 3, and they got 2 timeouts, I want to see them do that against Jim Schwartz on Sunday. Now, that being said, you hope they don't have to. Right? If they're ahead, they won't have to.
It's a good test for them, but I do think with 8 games left in the regular season, they do have time to continue developing their passing game. The problem with the Browns that the Browns are going to have is they got Deshaun Watson back, but not only have they lost Nick Chubb for the season, they just lost their starting left tackle. So that offensive line is not what it was just a week ago. And the Ravens defensive line right now is playing at such a high level. The Browns could be upset. They might want revenge. They have their quarterback back, but that defensive line of the Ravens right now, and that defense in its totality is playing at a very high level. And you've been on the defense since day one.
Well, taking away the ball on Sunday for the Browns is the game, right? I mean, I don't think Deshaun Watson's going to lead 3 touchdown drives and 2 field goals to get them to 27, right? Like on his own in against this defense in this stadium with all the issues that you've talked about and the weapons. I think this is a defensive game. It's an under game, but if it becomes an over game, if Zay Flowers gets stripped at the 28-yard line and the Browns fall on the ball, and Lamar gets hit in the pocket and the ball pops up. Just stuff, right? Like this defense of Jim Schwartz and the Browns, they are poised to try to win the game defensively by trying to take the ball away, take field position away. That's that's the battle for me. The battle for me is how will they fare against this really good defense? And to my point, you're winning 37-3. You're beating up the Lions 2 weeks ago. They didn't get out of bed. Seahawks didn't get off the plane at 10 o'clock in the morning. Like,
clearly.
That's great. And it's fun. And you win. And I went out to LA when they beat the Rams in 19, and they're, boat racing these teams, right? And that's cool. But I think there is a sense that you think they have a passing game in a 2-minute offense that I just haven't seen. And I've seen them implode against the Colts, implode against the Steelers, albeit not with a lot of healthy players. I mean, they are playing. I'm not going to judge them on September any more than I'm going to judge the Browns on Dorian Thompson, whatever his name was, 8 weeks ago and losing 28-3. I've talked about that all week with Daryl Ryder this week and with Luke as well about this Browns game and what we saw 2 months ago. It wasn't the real Ravens. We had 6-7 starters missing from that game. And it certainly wasn't the real Browns, the team that went out and beat Arizona last week. Look, the Ravens should win this game, and they're the better team, but the Browns are a lot more dangerous than the days of Spurgeon win and who's their coach this year and Butch Davis and like all of that. Even Baker Mayfield, this is just a better team because the defense is more formidable, and the defense is going to bring a lunch pail on Sunday. And if it's 24-3 at halftime and the Ravens are winning because they've just backed the Browns up, or because the Ravens defense is taking the ball away twice and Lamar's just popped little touchdowns and they're winning 24-3 at halftime again, that's very possible. I don't think the Browns are going to be winning 24-3 at halftime. Certainly the Ravens are the better team. Keep an eye on the ball because like the Browns defense is going to be the best defense they're going to see for a little while. Certainly more than Thursday night, which is going to be a slot fest either way. And we'll get to that when we get to that. But you and I'll get together on my show Monday morning for that, and you'll be here next Thursday too. But the Browns defense, this is a great defense. Let's see how they do with it at home. Let's see them manage it. Let's see Lamar have 3 touchdown drives, 2 field goals. Let's see the offense manufacture 27 points without taking the ball away. They'll win the game handily if they do that. I believe that. But mistakes, they killed them in the Colts game, killed them in the Steelers game. Yeah. Put other teams in games, teams into the game with them. Arizona was in the game because of mistakes. They play differently at home, but the division plays differently against them. These are 2 teams poised to come in and try to keep their seasons alive in seasons of belief. And this is a big week for the Ravens. I mean, this is fun. This is what it's all about. This is what was missing during the plague, and this is a lot of fun that the other teams are good.
No, it's a lot of fun, and it looks like the stadium, the crowd is changing. It's morphing. It's a younger crowd. Some of the old guard is fading away for a number of reasons, Nestor. So, in fact, I think we need to do a public service announcement in terms of when to stand up and when to sit down. And I mean,
I saw it on the scoreboard because I watch on TV now, thanks to Chad Steele. And I saw an end zone shot at one point, and I saw the scoreboard. It's the first time I've seen the scoreboard in 2 years because I haven't been in the stadium. And it said, visiting team hates noise, or just something.
Right. I want you to be quiet.
Like,
they want you to be quiet.
Yeah, something that's expansion level.
But they have to, Nestor. I mean,
I made fun of that stuff in the 90s when I would go on the road to a place, and I'd be like, because our fans didn't know. Our fans made. Do you remember the Raiders game in '96? Our fans were making noise when we were on offense. They had no idea how to be. I had to go on the radio and teach people.
Brian Billick, a lot of people had to teach people how to behave. What drives me nuts as a season ticket holder since 1996 is fans getting up in the middle of a play and walking in front of you, whether they're coming to your row or leaving your row, and not understanding that you're trying to watch the game and that they should leave their seat, vacate their seat in between plays, not when a game is going on. So the stadium etiquette, the lesson needs to get out there, Nestor, as these new fans come to the game, and they mean well, and I get that, but they don't understand. I mean, I had a guy a couple of weeks ago, kept standing in front of me. He's like, look, I paid the same money as you did. I get to stand up. When I said, see how the stadium is scalloped, see how it's stair stepped that way. The person behind can see in front better than person in front of them. I said to him, the stadium would have been flat if they wanted all of us to stand. Could we agree upon that? Of course, we couldn't agree upon that, but it is what it is.
Well, I did a concert etiquette thing with Mike Rosenfeld, our chief digital officer, this week, and it really lingered and ran long. He was asking me about my Sammy Hagar show and U2 and seeing the Sphere, and we got into it, and we didn't even talk any football. We wound up talking about like music, and it really turned. I went to my mom's hometown in Abbeville, right? And I went into the little theater in Abbeville. And it's just this beautiful, it's an opera house, restored opera house in the 1800s. I mean, it's unbelievable. And on the wall, there's a sign. If you go to the front of Baltimore Positive right now, you can read the sign. I'll read it off to you because it made me chuckle. It's an old time sign. It's like black and white. I put it up on the front of the website for everybody to enjoy. And it's been my experience at John Mayer, at Billy Joel this month. I haven't been to a concert this month where somebody hasn't been kind of a jerk, making noise during a slow part of a song or during when they shouldn't be. So it says, notice, please do not talk during acts as it annoys those about you and prevents a perfect hearing of the entertainment. I've done a terrible job of reading that sign, but it's basically STFU. Please. Billy Joel singing Vienna. Stop. John Mayer is singing Comfortable right now with a guitar in his voice for 14,000 people.
Right.
Please. So, hey, man, Springsteen sometime would zhuzh people. I saw Mellencamp's kind of prickly. I saw him stop a concert at the Lyric, literally stop a concert, put the lights on and say, throw him out. I want him out of here right now. And security came down, threw him out. He's like, all right, we're going to go back to the show now. Like, so when you say that people don't know how to act, I go back to, I've been on the radio 32 years, and this is Scout's honor. When I was Nasty Nestor in 1993, 94, 95, before there was a football team here, I was appalled at Camden Yards, right? I would go to Camden Yards, 3.6 million people. So it's full every night, right? You remember this, 92, 93, 94, 95, no football, baseball only, Cal Ripken, Johnny Oates, 48,000 every night downtown, Hooters, Phillips, the whole deal, right? The baseball etiquette of the fan base at that time was appalling. I mean, 3-2 pitch, 7th inning, 1st and 3rd, runners in motion. Hey, I need some cotton candy. And I used to go on the radio and go nuts about that when I worked down at the Lord Baltimore in 1990. So I don't know, better or worse. Get off my lawn. I'm now 55, but here's the difference with the concert thing, Dennis, and same thing with you sitting on the club level. And it ain't cheap.
No, it's not cheap. You're paying good money. You're paying good money, and you expect a good experience.
And at a concert, they're not putting the replay on the board for me, and and the time it takes me to turn around and tell somebody to shut up in the first verse of a ballad, and they say "F you" inevitably because they're probably drunk. You know what I mean? Using their loud voice, and I'm thinking to myself, didn't we all learn? Miss Wassel was my kindergarten teacher. And she's still alive, and I love her. She's down in Yulee, Florida. I wish I were going to Jacksonville on this trip. Use your quiet voice, Nestor. Use your quiet. So
there's nothing like being at an Eagles concert and two young ladies in front of you are doing selfies the whole time and they're singing at the top of their lungs.
Every night I'm lying in bed. Hey, what'd you have for lunch today? I had tuna fish.
God, man, it was.
He sings that so pretty. I love this song. This was me and Mike's song back in the day. And I'm shut up.
So it was all about them at the concert and their social media presence. It had nothing to do with them being quiet and enjoying an iconic act like the Eagles.
My wife and I went to see Stevie Wonder at the arena maybe before she had cancer, maybe about 10, 12 years ago. Stevie Wonder, we had beautiful seats. It was like a cocktail party.
No.
And I'm thinking to myself, what are you possibly talking about when Stevie Wonder is singing My Cherie Amour? I mean, singing Overjoyed. I mean, what is wrong with? So these are the same people at the football game, and there is this American thing of my car, my highway, I'll drive how I want, I'll pay what I want, I'll do what I want, I'll stand what I want, I'll serve. All that's part of this. And if you get the wrong person around you, I told Mike Rosenfeld this, and I don't want to get too off my lawn, but I told him, I said, my wife yelled at these girls who were drunk behind us at John Mayer, and I said to her, "Stop. This is going to be a fight. Just go. We're just going to go over there. I'm not going to have a debate about etiquette when you're obviously you don't have a sensibility about it, right? Like this guy standing up in front of you, you're not going to talk any sense into him, I guess. Standing on offense or standing on defense?
The whole game.
Oh.
It didn't matter. It didn't matter. Didn't matter. Had to call security, and they actually ended up removing him because he didn't want to get it. He didn't understand. Didn't want to comprehend the concept of why the stadium is built a certain way. Couldn't understand.
Well, just more the concept of community. Like if I'm annoying one person, it's bad. If I'm annoying everybody, it's like you got to go.
I paid for the seat, so I get to do whatever I want because I paid for the seat. I can stand up the whole damn game if I want to.
Well, the other thing is what they would yell to Lamar or to John Harbaugh, or what they say to players right down. Man, I've been a part of that. I mean, I remember Isaac Bruce, the wide receiver.
Sure, Rams.
Right. They played at the Memorial Stadium, and I'm down on the field first year, right? I'm down on the field the last 5 minutes of the game. That used to be the rule. Last 5 minutes you're passed, then it was last 2 minutes. And then Chad Steele said, I'm not a real media member. So the slope is slid over 30 years from access, right? But I was on the sidelines, on the Rams sideline. I'll never forget this, right by the first base dugout at 33rd Street. And some Raven fans were giving it to him. And it wasn't hateful, racial. It was just you suck. It was like it was a basic you suck. It wasn't anything completely over the line.
Nothing
that I heard. Man, I saw him come over and crotch chop and do stuff that if a camera were on him, Roger Goodell would have been sending notes and stuff. And it always affected me when he was up for Hall of Fame, is that I was 5 feet away from him when he was telling fans to basically the same offer Lamar Jackson offered to that nice fan in Pennsylvania last year, basically. And I'm thinking, this is 1996, right? And I'm thinking to myself, what these players hear when they go in and out of hotels, when they go in and out of places, what Reggie Jackson and Billy Martin would hear 30 years ago or whatever. And even what Adam Jones heard in the outfield at Fenway Park,
I'm sure.
Racial and just awful stuff. I feel for some of the guys, for what a professional wrestler has to do going to the ring, and you don't hear it, but you hear it. And I just hope fans can be better. I mean, we're all trying to be better. You know what I mean? As I've gotten older, I've learned more about the power of the radio to try to not have people cheer when Kyle Bowler gets hurt, not stand in front of Dennis and be a jerk, not yell awful things at football players.
Do better, be better. Great stuff as always, Nestor. I appreciate you. What do you have going on?
Just crab cake tours and this stadium lease that everybody in the marketplace is afraid to cover it the right way and afraid to get all the facts. I'm trying to, in long form, and you're one of the smartest people I know. You're a big supporter of everything we do here and a big supporter of Baltimore. It's 70 minutes long, the interview I had with Tom Kelso. I'm planning on more, but this is not something that you're going to understand in reading it in the Baltimore Sun in two pieces. It's not something you're going to understand by listening to me once or just trusting me. It's complex, and it involves the next 30 years of these franchises, and it really involves who's going to fix it, what the idea is going to be. And I know you've got to run on your show. We'll get back to it. I'm going to have plenty of time to talk about this. I can walk and chew bubblegum at the same time. But for the city, and for a guy like me that invested in the city, invested in this view, if you're watching the video behind me, and I lost $250,000 living downtown for 19 years. I sold my place for $250,000 less than I put into it. Now they're going to add 900 more units. So I'm asking questions about that. I'm trying to get David Ramble on the show. I'm having other people on at the Crab Cake Tour. But more than that, we all talk about the city and how important it is. And I'm Baltimore positive. And like, what's the idea? What's the idea? Because it's not about the land. The land's sitting there. It's not about the warehouse or the little Sports Legends Museum or what casino they can put in or Top Golf or it's about the idea, and it's about the totality. And I would really, really hope that anybody out there that's paid attention to what the Angelos family's done, what the Orioles have done, what Steve Bisciotti's done over the last 25, 30 years, and their experience with downtown, when I talk about going down to Hooters and Phillips and 3.6 million people and what that felt like and what 100 wins felt like this year, what the experience of going, I even got Luke to admit, like, it's not as good as it could be. There should be things before the games, after the games, like there are in Cincinnati, Philadelphia, St. Louis. If you go to any of these places, you'll see what a baseball experience could and should be. Chicago, for sure, north side of Chicago. For me, it's who is going to ideologically have the money, David Bramble and his land, and the land around the stadium. And right now they're telling me the big idea, and they're going to take away the Maryland Stadium Authority and make John Angelos just give him all the land and let him do whatever he wants to do, as though that's going to produce the idea. Because it goes back to the idea. It's not about me or Peter or John or Brandon Scott or Wes. It's not about any of that. It's about what's going to be sustainable. What's the idea? Governor Schaefer, Mayor Schaefer, had an idea. Aquarium, Science Center, Disney World, Harbor Place, history, safe, restaurants, tourism, crab cakes, Inner Harbor, boat rides, beauty, lights, water. That was his idea in a nutshell. In 1971, if I could go back in time, he would have this Walt Disney vision. The way Mr. Coons had a vision to sell cars, the way I had a vision to do sports radio. Like, where's the vision? And then give the money to that person, or put oversight, like a stadium authority, over it, so we can have oversight. And the fact that the oversight, the power is trying to be taken away, and the money. What's going on here, Dennis, is really, I don't want to call it filthy. It's dirty, bordering on filthy, and I'm investigating how unclean it is, because it's not clean.
All right, man. We'll more on that, I'm sure, in the upcoming shows. You stay well, keep doing great things. We'll take a break here. Come back right after this.